Hey guys, it is Dani and welcome to this update video this morning. I hope that you're doing really great. And so there are three disturbances out there that we have to be watching over the next couple of days. So I'll be taking you guys through the latest that the National Hurricane Center has to show, along with what is currently happening across the Caribbean and surrounding areas, and the rainfall forecast as we're going to be heading through today for the region. And before I go into details, please do subscribe if you haven't yet done so and tap the bell so that you never miss an important update. Alright, so we're going to this 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook, and this is from the National Hurricane Center. So we are seeing these three areas highlighted where we could see some development take place over the course of the next week or so. And there we have that most recent area in the Gulf of Mexico. So a low pressure area could develop here, and eventually it could try to get itself together, take advantage of any sort of conducive conditions there and become something, but that isn't guaranteed as of right now. And we're not seeing the X because that low pressure area has not yet developed, but we could see something here, and models have actually been sniffing at it for some time, and now the probability of it happening seems more and more likely. It's higher. So models are not showing that there is going to be anything major coming from that low pressure area expected to make its way into the Gulf and possibly get itself together. But nonetheless, if we're even talking about a big blob over there of convective activity, that could even be enough to trigger a flood. And I know that many areas have been longing for a cool down because the heat has been sweltering across parts of the US. But when we're talking about a major system, that can do more harm than good, in that it induces a lot of flooding across many areas, and with that comes damage, and lives are in jeopardy. And so hopefully that will not be the case, but we still have to pay attention to what is happening. So if you're along the Gulf Coast, you might want to keep an eye out there. It's that time of year, and matter of fact, that is not even the major area that some models such as the GFS has been forecasting to see something major develop. That is actually expected later down. But let's go on to these next two. This one out here given a much higher chance to develop compared to yesterday morning, now at 40%. So the National Hurricane Center has bumped up the formation chance. Last night it went up to 30 from 10%, and now here we are at 40% as of the 2 a.m. update. And maybe sometime today it will continue to increase as the system gets itself together, and by the next several days this might become a tropical depression. There's still some uncertainty with whether it might come close enough to the Caribbean or not. But the main determinant of that actually happening, the main determinant of the track, is the high pressure system out there, the Bermuda Azores high. So with a stronger high, we typically have more storms moving into the Caribbean, and the reason for that is because it is a blockade. Tropical cyclones or disturbances, they can't just move through them, so they have to move around. So this map here is depicting the effect it has. So a weaker system, a weaker high pressure system out there would result in that more westward or northwestward track, because the winds aren't so strong, the resistance isn't that tough out there, so these storms can actually move on a more northwestward track. And so that is why we're seeing that being expected of the system. Some models still want to take it quite close. We'll be looking at the ensemble tracks for GFS and Euro also in this update. Let's go closer to the coast of Africa, and there we have our next disturbance. 30% chance of seeing development. So the formation chance of this one through the next 7 days remains constant. So imminent development of this is unlikely, but as we head into the latter of this week, going to next week, then we could definitely see it try to get itself together out there, provided conditions are actually conducive enough. If the upper level winds are not so intense, and also if the dry air isn't a huge problem out there, which it is likely to be, because right within that zone where it is headed is pretty dry right now. So it's not likely that we're going to be seeing anything too major become of it. Maybe we'll try to get to at least tropical depression status, but I'm not expecting anything major coming from that disturbance. But as for Orwan, given a 40% chance to develop, here we can see that there isn't as much dry air in the region. Still some dry air around, but not as much, not those crazy amounts that we see closer to the northwestern coast of Africa. So things are a bit more conducive for that one to develop, hence that rise in the formation chance of it. Now we want to go ahead and take a look at the ensemble members. Let's first go on to Euro. Now this goes out to next Thursday, so almost a week out from now. And we can see here that many members are picking up on that low pressure area expected in the Gulf and actually showing something moving into either Texas or Mexico, maybe even Louisiana. So pretty interesting here for this time next week. And many of these members are still expecting something in the Caribbean coming from that disturbance out there. So contrary to what the National Hurricane Center is showing, the Euro members, some of these members here are expecting that this will continue westward for some time before making that northwestward track out there. So that is what we're seeing here for the most part. As I said, there is still some uncertainty down the road. And then for that next disturbance closer to the coast of Africa, we might see it try to get itself together. Members not expecting much become of it, but there is that new cluster indicating that another tropical wave could move off, and once conditions are favorable, which they are likely to be, then we might see some development. Now going on to the GFS members, here we can see that there isn't as much support for seeing something in the Gulf around this time, around Wednesday of next week. For the disturbances out there, there's some pretty good support on development, variations in the track, but overall that west-northwestward to northwestward track expected. Not many of them show something in the Caribbean or coming very close to the Caribbean. Also quite interested, but later I'll definitely go into a lot more details in terms of what models are showing, so stay tuned for my evening update. Now we want to go ahead and take a look at what is actually happening across the Caribbean and surrounding areas. So we're starting out looking in the South Caribbean and Northern South America, and here we can see that there is some thunderstorm activity in some areas, that little blob over in parts of Northern Colombia, and off the coast going to the vicinity of the Windward Islands. There we see that cluster of some activity. Now that is in association with a tropical wave in the region, so that's helping to enhance the rainfall activity there, and all of this could result in periods of very heavy rainfall across parts of northeastern Venezuela, going to Trinidad, Tobago, even heading into areas such as Grenada. There could be some periods of heavy rainfall, and that can trigger flooding in some of those more flood prone areas, guys. So should you encounter any flood waters, please do not attempt to drive through, or flooded bridges, don't attempt to cross, because things can go south very, very quickly. Look into the Guianas. There's some activity here and there, nothing too crazy at the moment. To the north of the ABC Islands, take a look at this, all this convective activity. If this was a bit more south in latitude, it would definitely be bringing some thunderstorms, maybe even some heavy downpours to the islands Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. But let's head further up north, and here we can see that nothing crazy is happening right now across most of the Lesser Antilles, going to Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Hispaniola, even looking into parts of the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Islands. Nothing too crazy right now, and there's actually some dry air in the area. Some of that Saharan dust is in the Caribbean right now, so that is kind of helping to stabilize conditions out there. But as these tropical waves approach, that is going to really just diminish that dry air and induce a more conducive environment for seeing more thunderstorm activity. And then as we head to Jamaica, a bit of thunderstorms off the coast for some north central parishes. And then as we head to the Cayman Islands, going over into parts of western Cuba, Central America, even up into Florida and the northern Bahamas, lots of moisture in the area. So we see that there is quite a bit going on. As a matter of fact, let's go on to the rainfall forecast from the Euro model. And so here we are taking a look at it, and within those areas of more those shades of yellows, oranges, reds, that is where a lot more rainfall is expected. We kind of see that up into parts of Florida, the northern Bahamas, going to western Cuba, and also over into many spots across Central America, Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, even heading down to parts of Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. There could be some substantial rainfall. Similar story for most of northern South America, heading from Colombia over into the Guyana. And then for Trinidad, Tobago, as I said, there's a lot of activity in the area, so there could be those periods of heavy rainfall. And then there could also be some heavy rainfall across some spots in the Grenadines or Grenada, but things get drier as we head a bit more up to the north into most other areas. There could be some passing showers at times, heading over into Hispaniola, the Turks and Caicos Islands, parts of the southern Bahamas, and eastern Cuba. Not a whole lot of activity expected. Same story as we head over into the Cayman Islands, but for Jamaica, there could be some showers and thunderstorms thunderstorms popping up across some parishes as we head to this afternoon. So guys, that is what is going on. Things are really starting to kick up across the tropics, and I'm here to keep you posted as it happens. So again, stay tuned for my updates video this evening, where I'll go into a lot more details in terms of what models are expecting. And so that is pretty much it for right now, and I hope you found this video to be quite informative. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will respond once I get the chance to, and as always, remember to be weatherwise.